Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing another movie review. This movie is a comedy/thriller from the United States, English language, released in the year 2015, directed by Riley Stearns, and this film is called Faults. So Faults is about an expert in mind control and cult-like behaviour. Recently his business has really been failing because there's a traumatic experience that he's had in his past that has caused everything to unravel. So his wife left him as a result of this, his agent dumped him, but at the same time he owes a lot of money to his agent, and the agent is demanding the payment. So this is making him broke and basically on the verge of suicide. But all that's about to change when he's approached by some parents. Now the parents have a daughter that was taken in by a cult, and they're very concerned about her because she hasn't been the same since. So they're desperate to get their daughter back, so they get to the services of this man. So the man says, for the right price I can do this, and hopefully this is the opportunity he is been waiting for to get his life back on track. So what he does, he kidnaps the daughter, takes her to a motel, and he begins the deprogramming process. But unfortunately, during the process, he starts to believe that there is more to this daughter than he first thought, and he starts to doubt whether or not he is actually in control. So what happens at that point on is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Faults. If there was ever an example of what great acting can do to a film, I think Faults is definitely it, which in turn makes this movie probably the most enjoyable experience I've had this year so far, in that it's not only a very, very funny film, it's not only a very sympathetic film as far as the characters are concerned, it's not only very intriguing, but it's also terrifying at the same time. This is a movie about vulnerabilities that have been preyed upon, and vulnerabilities and how that can shape someone, and how you can control someone. And so it's a very intriguing film in that regard, is that this is a cult film, but it's depicting a cult in a very different way, as opposed to, it's not necessarily about the cult itself, it's more about the consequences of being brainwashed. And I thought that the characters, they blossomed to a very three-dimensional shape, and I think the script really allows these actors to portray these characters absolutely phenomenally well. So you've got Leland Orser, who plays the main character. He's a very sympathetic character, he's down on his luck, and he finally gets the opportunity to really get his life back on track, and so he's a very quirky character, and straight from the start I was in stitches with laughter when there was basically a scene where he's having breakfast and he's trying to use a coupon that's invalid, and he's starting to try and convince this guy that the coupon is valid, but it's not working. And I thought that exchange really sets the mood for the film. It's a very, very fun atmosphere, but at the same time, as I said, with that mind control aspect, it actually makes you think, and it actually terrifies you, because there are people out there who can actually control people. And then once again, it's all about the vulnerabilities, and the movie is very appropriately titled Faults, in that the faults in people, if you can actually manipulate those faults in a way, you can get someone to do something that they wouldn't necessarily do if they were actually, faultless. And so it's basically preying upon the vulnerabilities that makes the film so terrifying. But as I said, at the same time, the script was absolutely phenomenal, and the chemistry between Leland Orser and Mary Elizabeth Winstead was the best part of this film. Is that this is a movie that relies on two characters, but because the exchange and the banter between these characters is so good, you don't realise that it's limited characters. You feel as though it has so much more depth than a film with multiple characters. And so that is down to the fact that, and not only do you have fantastic performances, but those performances are allowed to blossom because of how well written this film is. I just thought this was a phenomenally funny film, and as I said, you can actually really get into these characters. You can really get into this guy's dilemma, and the guy's dilemma and the vulnerabilities that he has are being preyed upon by other people, but at the same time, this guy is preying upon the other people's vulnerabilities. So it's a movie that definitely has you in a cloud of mystery, as opposed to in regards to what is going on. And so there's a strong level of suspense, is because you don't know who's in control, and because of that, it's just a cat and mouse sort of game. It's a battle of wits, and those wits really captures the audience, and so that's something I really liked. I thought there were some very surreal moments, very disturbing moments, without really going over the top. So it's not a gratuitous film, it's a movie that really relies on the psychological aspect of damaged people, and I think that, as I said, Leland Orser and Mary Elizabeth Winstead really portray their characters in a way that makes them absolutely fascinating. So it's a very strange film, very quirky atmosphere. And the way the movie it ends, I thought it leaves a lot of questions. So a lot of people might not like that aspect, but I thought it really complemented what the whole film was about. As I said, it's about mind control, it's about the consequences of being in a cult, but then not is all what it seems. And so when you throw in a cloud of mystery, that is what keeps you on the edge of your seat, because it's an extremely unpredictable experience. So there's no real soundtrack to dictate when you should be feeling scared or when you should laugh. It's all relying on the solid base of, as I said, a great script and and some great performances to match it. So if you don't like your quirky films, then maybe Faults is not for you. But if you want a film that's going to make you laugh, that's going to make you, it's going to scare you, it's going to intrigue you, and at the same time going to make you think about, as I said, vulnerabilities, then Faults is definitely one I would recommend. As I said, one of the most enjoyable experiences I've had in a very long time, and as a result of that, I'm going to give this movie 4.5 stars. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.